Hello, welcome to Spotlight on Souris. Today is September 18, 2018. My name is Laura Higgs, and today I'm very excited to have with me Echo Finlay, who is our new Economic Development Officer here in Souris. Welcome, Echo.
Thanks, Laurie.
Thanks for coming in. Okay, let's start with, where are you from?
I'm from Churchill. I was born in Churchill. We lived all over the place when I was younger, and then about 11 years ago moved back up to Churchill, and it was with the intent of raising our little kids at the time, who are not so little now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my roots are. That's where most of my family is. My folks
Okay.
were there before.
Okay, so what brought you down to Souris?
A really obnoxious love story. After my ex and I had broken up, I kind of re-met my partner, Corey, and we pieced it together that we had a bigger history than we had realized at the time. Part of my little stint down south before I had relocated back to Churchill 11 years ago, I was living in St. Claude and working at the daycare in Treehorn, and I actually, his ex and him had their kids at the daycare, and so I had his daughter in my care along with my own daughter, and so as we got to know each other better, it was like, wait a second, how do you know so and so? And we had friends in common, and it was a really smooth transition. So through it all, Corey and I, we sparked up this wonderful relationship that just doesn't stop, and we ended up buying a house here. We purchased it, took possession in May of this year, and had made the decision probably around Christmas time that yes, I would move down with my kids, and
Good.
yeah, we're here now.
Good, so your kids. Now, how many do you have?
I have three wonderful kids.
Okay.
Yep, my oldest is 20. She is living in Winnipeg, and she's going back into school. She's working. So the two I have here with me are 10 and 12, and they're at the Souris school. So I have two daughters, one son. The boy's the youngest. He's the peacekeeper.
Yeah. So they're going to the Souris school, and they like it?
They
Souris,
really like
Good,
it. Yeah,
good.
the school's really positive here.
Souris is a nice town.
That's coming from the kids. They're noticing just how great it is. The comments from students, like their peers and their teachers,
Good.
are really esteem building, and I like that.
Oh, good. That's really good, because sometimes it takes kids a little while to get settled into, especially a new school, all new friends.
Yep. The biggest surprise was probably my middle child, Avery. She's the 12-year-old, but she was never interested in team sports. I couldn't talk her into it. She liked individual competitive sports. Archery, swimming, that kind of thing. And suddenly she's joined volleyball. She's talking about joining basketball. She just,
good.
It's a very positive thing.
Yeah, so it's a new adventure for
Yeah.
them. Good, good, glad to hear. So tell us a little bit about your work history.
My work history. When all said and told, I was probably 20 years in different program levels with Healthy Child Manitoba, which focuses on the best possible outcomes for all of Manitoba's children. And the last 10 and a half years was as a coordinator at a family resource center in Churchill, working for the Churchill Parent-Child Coalition. So through that, we delivered direct programming for families, everything from prenatal to up to 18 really, but the primary years is what we focused on. That was a part of the job. The other part of the job, though, was about community connections and making sure that had a really strong awareness of resources in the community, grant writing, grant proposal writing. There was community events where the whole community came out. We did some pretty neat things, like most of it was, well, all of it would have been free, provided for free. So we had to be kind of dynamic in where we got the funding and partnerships from. But it was a great job. I really liked it. I wouldn't have left it if I didn't have that obnoxious love story.
That's a fun way to put it.
Yeah.
So what was the size of Churchill?
Churchill stands about 900 people. in the slower months. It booms for the tourist seasons. So May through November, its population gains quite a bit from seasonal workers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you want to hear another obnoxious love story? My mom and dad
Nice.
met and married in Churchill in 1954.
Yes, yeah. Churchill's a
I've-
melting pot.
Yeah, but I've yet to be up there. So, if I get that on my bucket list, I'll have to go up there.
Well, I hear the rails being fixed.
Yeah. Oh, thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Okay, so tell me what other programs or groups you belonged to while you were up there.
So some of the things I did, I sat on different provincial committees and boards. I did like a provincial advisory committee to Healthy Child Manitoba. Some of the things that I've carried with me was I'm the vice chair for the Midship Child and Family Services Board of Directors. So I don't know if you know much about child and family, but years ago, I think just over a decade, maybe a little more, the province of Manitoba went through a thing called devolution where they split into 4 authorities that could govern child and family services throughout the province. The idea was to make it more culturally appropriate. I happened to be involved with the Manitoba Métis Federation, so I took training that was really specific to just sitting on a board. It was hands down the best training I ever took that I could apply to almost everything else in my life that I was working on professionally. We learned everything from terminology, like what is terms of reference, what are bylaws and how to find them. So we went through it all with even how to politely disagree in a board setting, and that it was very appropriate to do so if you didn't agree with the information being presented. But instead of some kind of confrontational, like, you're wrong, I don't like you.
Right.
You would kind of glean the information out of the other person by using terms like, I'm not sure that I understand your point. Can you give me more information? I'm not sure I'm there yet. And so I was then appointed to the board of directors. And so I sat on it for the last term, and I just had my term renewed. And I did check, and I was able to continue on with my position, even though I've relocated, because now I'm with the Southwest, but I can still bring the kind of the northern perspective as well, having the history there. So it's a great board. We've really gelled. Another thing that I work on and continue to sit on is with the Hudson Big Quest. So that's my northern thing. It's an international sled dog race that takes place.
Oh, okay.
And
how long has that been going on?
I believe 12 years.
Okay.
Maybe longer. We ended up having to not run the last 2 years because of the rail being down with Churchill.
Right.
But it's cool. We bring in 4 vets, a whole vet team. We've got a race marshal out of Ontario. The fellow that used to be the head vet was out of Colorado. It's just this mashup of people that are passionate about it. And I wasn't into sled dogs. I don't mush. I'm allergic to dogs, all these things.
Yeah.
But I love organizing stuff, and I love the challenge of logistics. So the organization of this race is spanning over tundra that goes from Gillam to Churchill, and the start line switches every year. So it can have a lot. Right down to trying to find and source 70 bales of straw, fresh straw to bring up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but that's really not something we have. We would have in Churchill.
Not just in your back pocket, anyway. Okay, so tell me, how far is the distance between Gillam and Churchill?
It is about 320 kilometers.
Wow.
So it'd be a 200-mile race, so mid-distance, and that would be used as a qualifier for things like the Iditarod or the Yukon Quest, like some of the big races.
Wow. I'm just not, curling is about the only cold thing I like to do. So I'm just not a person to get out there in that cold snow. I was born and raised in Flin Flon, actually, and we had a lot of very cold winters up there.
Winter up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I got used to it, and it's just not something I would do many outdoor sports, and I don't know the passion that would take people to go up and race on a dog sled. My gosh.
Me either. But I would stay cozy indoors for most of it and run the logistics and the communication. The trail communication was the biggest one, because with these racers, their teams, they have the are you familiar with the spot unit, the satellites? It's like a
Oh.
GPS tracker.
Oh, in case they got lost and they could,
Needed help,
Needed
anything
help,
like
yes,
that. Yeah,
okay.
we've had emergencies pop up where
right, okay.
you have to get help to people pretty
I
fast.
think I've heard of that in the mountains as well. So
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, so these geo trackers, I would be responsible for watching them and kind of monitoring, and if somebody was stopped abnormally long, then we would be able to, we worked with Canadian Rangers very closely. The 4th CRPG would come up and run it as an exercise, so it was quite the undertaking.
Wow, yes,
It's pretty cool.
absolutely. Yeah, a big, very big deal. And is that going to be a committee that you can still help out on?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was on
good.
the fence about it, but my partner Corey, actually, he was so helpful with encouraging, really. Don't feel like you have to give it up. That's still something. And then the committee itself, thank goodness for electronics. We can stay connected and
Yes,
we can
yeah.
get so much work done that way. I might end up having to go up, but the race runs in March, so it's not the coldest time of the year, luckily.
Yeah,
Yeah. The weather's driving me nuts down here, though.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with myself.
yeah.
It's the humidity. It's
Yeah,
very
I think
different.
so. It is very different. From Flin Flon, when we moved down, I did notice a difference, the
Yeah.
winters. Because up there, you could just put everything on and go out and, you know,
Yeah, it's-
not have the same cold, internal cold that you get here.
It is my biggest adjustment.
Yeah,
So
or I think we put on less clothes maybe down here, so we get colder faster. I'm not sure, but the
I don't know what the
humidity could have
combination
something.
is yet. I'll figure it out, I swear.
So tell me a little bit more about this training you took for this board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you take that? Did somebody send you out? How long was the program?
Yeah, I was sent out as a potential candidate. It was something that the Manitoba Métis Federation was doing because they wanted to make sure that the boards that they ran, especially when it came to child and family services, that anybody appointed to the board was equipped to do the job. You needed to have at least the foundation of, you're bringing your perspective and your knowledge, but you need to know what you're doing when you get to budgets. And I mean, when we're talking, it's in the millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars for the budget. And so you need to be very aware and responsible with what you're doing. And I like that. It was so beneficial. And it also gave kind of a strong foundation, because it takes a while for a board to really gel and understand the different dynamics going on. We had gone through, unfortunately, our executive director had passed away during my first term, and there was a grieving process. I mean, the staff were devastated that worked with him. The board, we were at a loss because this guy, we really worked well with him, and then to go through the process of trying to find a replacement for the organization. Nobody could ever replace him, but the organization itself, that was a process. And if I didn't have that training behind me, and like others on my board, I don't think we would have been able to navigate it as well.
And where did you take that training?
In Winnipeg, Ron Hayes is the fellow that provided the training. He runs the Center of Excellence, I believe.
And how
But-
long was the training?
The training was over a span of a couple of days. And it was pretty intense, and it was just, if you've never looked him up, he has got some terrific resources. That's what he does.
Good, good. So you bring a wealth of experience and information with you to your new job. How is the new job going?
I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really
Good.
like it. It's so interesting. Every day is something new, and that's my favorite part. I like when there's some kind of a challenge, or when somebody comes into my office. I've had people drop in and just tell me, whatever's going on. Yeah, sit there, tell me about it. Tell me what's frustrating you. Tell me where you're stumped. And then I can get the information and kind of look at it with, what's the first step? What do we do here? And so that part's been great.
Good.
I have a history of being able to be resourceful, and I like being able to apply that.
Absolutely, good. A good fit. So what are the things that you are looking forward to? What are the highlights in your job right now, or the events that might be coming up that you're focusing on right now?
Well, I have some opportunity for some training that, there's always opportunity for training, but I mean valuable training coming up that I'm looking forward to. One of them is through a Southwest Regional Roundtable that goes on, and it kind of takes the southwest corner of Manitoba and the EDOs and rec directors, not all EDOs and not all rec directors, they get together and they chip in on training. So there's one training coming up where it's about attracting investors to the area and helping to increase the economic situation in the community.
Right.
So that is directly applicable. That's something I want to take. There's another training through, now the acronyms are a little long with everything I'm dealing with, but EDAM. So that's the Economic Developing Association of Manitoba.
Okay.
Development. Okay.
Good.
EDAM. EDAM.
Okay.
That's their website. So that's one thing that the EDOs have been partner in or a member of, and they now have standardized modules that are going to help economic development officers across the province to get standardized. At least then you all have the same foundation, regardless if you came to it with a Bachelor of Arts or if you came to it fresh off the street, you
Sure.
know. And it's also an opportunity for some of the different boards. Here we have the CDC, which is the Community Development Corporation. Through a membership, you could also have some members on the board take the training. That way they know also what is your EDO supposed to do. So I really like that. I like it when there's a strong foundation, and those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to.
Good. Good. Marvelous.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here at Spotlight on Souris. Echo, I hope that your family and you have settled in. It sounds like it, but have settled in well. And welcome here.
Thanks,
We certainly
Laurie.
need someone with your expertise.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate your time. Spotlight on Souris is brought to you by volunteers of WCG TV, Access Channel 12. I'd like to thank Sheila Kirkup, who is our producer, Lloyd Barkley, who is the cameraman. My name is Laura Higgs. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day.